Hello everybody, Walter here. Welcome to this episode of my Oxygen Not Included Let's Play series with the Spaced Out DLC. Now, in the previous episode, we've reached the end of what I personally considered the early game, and we are now finally getting started with the mid game. Which means dupe-free power generation, much more automation, some actual exploration, and our first few uses of, let's call them interesting game mechanics, which all will keep us quite busy for the next couple episodes. So let's get back to our colony and have a look. And here we are. Now, before I get to my plans for today, let me quickly go over the highlights of the previous episode. We started out by fixing a little overloading issue of our power grid caused by all of those incubators here being turned on at the same time. The fix was simply putting them on different timers, which nicely rectified the situation. After that, we did some work on a future walk-in freezer, although due to missing resources, it's a work in progress. Then we finally set up our first proper setup of a metal refinery, which is now there to produce all of our refined metals. And finally, in preparation for getting more dupes, because our food supply is now actually working again, we built a few future private bedrooms, which are, as you can see, also a bit of a work in progress, but should be finished quite soon. And that's where we're at. Now, what are my plans for today? Well, let's start at the top. I would like to add another of these setups here for one simple reason. I want to get rid of this barracks, and I will need the spacing for another 5 dupes if I can get it. After that, I want to work on taming this cool steam vent here with the output of the hidden here cool slush geyser, and use the water I'm getting out of that to create some oxygen and some power. Dupe-free power, to be more precise. And after that, if there is enough time, I'm thinking about doing a bit more of exploration, because as you can see, currently, I haven't really dug out much around my base, and I'm pretty sure there are interesting things to find. But before that, there are a few things that I noticed during the editing of the previous episode that I would like to adjust. The first is under consumables. Since I'm now getting barbecue, which can rot, I want to forbid my dupes from actually eating the muck root, which might be a good food source for my future astronauts, and subsequently I want to spare that. Next up, these liquid reservoirs here will be filled with somewhat hot water at some point, and the content of those is actually able to exchange heat with the tiles right below the output of those liquid reservoirs. So if you look in the heat overview, we can't really see this yet, but it's a potential issue. So I'll just put insulated tiles all over this, and then that should be rectified, and we are not additionally heating our base. It's getting warm enough on its own. And the last thing I noticed is I have this refrigerator up here, and at the moment it's just in oxygen. And if you look in there and look at the barbecue, you can see it's in normal atmosphere, so the barbecue is rotting at -8% per cycle just from the atmosphere. Now, to get around that little issue, I'll just put 2 tiles here, maybe at a slightly increased priority, so they are going to be built. And that way, I will, after some time, with a high probability, get some carbon dioxide, or maybe, if I unearth it, some chlorine in there, and it will be in a neutral atmosphere, and this -8 will disappear. So the barbecue will stay fresh a bit longer. So that were the 3 things I noticed. Now let's quickly plan this out. So essentially I'm going with the same setup here. I will just mirror it, so the entrance here will be at the top there. And now it's finally time to think about taming this steam vent, but first I actually want to go down here and tame the cool slush geyser. So for that I'll just dig over here, dig out this entire blob of material here. Maybe not all the way down for now. Although I'll leave that one here and that one here as is. I will also have to add some ladders to get actually over there. And now just increasing the priority so it's being built as fast as possible. Actually, yeah, this is being built. We also have our first rotten barbecue, which is a bit of an annoyance. For now, I'll just place a storage bin down here. Increase the priority for that to be built again. And we are getting it somewhere. Yep, that's looking good. And once this is built, come on. I'm just setting this to contain all of the rot piles, all of the polluted dirt, and that should do the trick. Those will obviously off-gas, but we have the deodorizers on this side and the deodorizers on this side, so there will no polluted oxygen be able to escape. And now we're getting close and should very soon be able to actually have a look at our geyser here. You can see it's discovered. And now it's time to start building a few tiles. I need the first two here. Then I need one there, one here. Not like that. Actually, I'm going to need to go a bit further over. I need one here, one there, and then one there once this binary here has been dealt with. And we have our first or another research. So let's have a look. This is just some of the deco parts. For now, I will need quite soon the Atmos sensor. So let's deal with that first. And let's actually go into hazard protection so we can get our exosuits quite soon, because they will be very important and very useful again quite soon. Then let's also start our box around this geyser here. And as you can see, we have our first iron. I will have to dig out a bit more later on, because that is obviously needed for steel production, as you can see. This is all being built more or less. Now I can also place my last manual airlock. I can place one tile up there. And I can place a liquid pump in there. I'm also going to need a liquid hydro sensor. Place it here. Some automation wire, like so. And then let's actually insulate this a bit more, just to be on the safe side. This one here can be a normal tile. And then let's just place a few more tiles like so. And let's make sure our tubes can get in there. Now just to make sure it's all being built, increase the priority again. And before I forget it, we're also going to need some wire and some pipe. So, then a liquid valve, this can be a normal one. And since this will be rather cold, I'm going with the insulated tiles here, insulated pipes. And now it's waiting until this has been dug out and built. And once that is the case, I can consider removing this tile here, after which the geyser is no longer ever overpressurized and will start producing cool slush. We just got pinged by the printer, so we are getting a new tube, at least that's my hope. So let's have a look. We would need a supplier. We don't need currently tidding. Also, and we have a supplier. Cannot do building, not too much of an issue. Yeah, I'm going with Ellie here. Definitely a supplier. We are very, very much needing a supplier, so Ellie, you're on board. Of course, and we have some research done, just some more deco tiles. Those will be important later on when we want to upgrade to private rooms, but we are still missing a few other parts. So, also setting the schedule for her. She is getting into shift 2. And obviously she is going to do primarily supplying, storing, and tiddying. And maybe some toggling life support on the side, but that's her main reason. And I actually leave her out of the operating, because I have Ruby for that. And I'm actually removing Ruby from these parts, so I have a bit of a separation of jobs going on. I'm currently starting to get more dupes into my base, and it's sufficient to get this done. Okay, this is almost finished, so I can actually consider making sure that I'm getting all of this garbage out here. For that, I'm just going to use one of those automatic dispensers. If they are not powered, if you put anything in them, they will just put it on the floor again, which is very nice for sweeping stuff. And let's just lock these so no dupe gets any stupid ideas. Let's also lock this one. Then let's actually open this one for now, since now it's time to activate the geyser. Let's increase the priority, so this is really done right now. And you can see the geyser is already putting out polluted water, and we can now start analyzing the geyser, which is Max's job. Yeah, he is currently coming, because once it's analyzed, we get an exact amount of, or exact information about how much water we're actually getting out of this geyser, which will be important for the later setup. Now let's set this up. I'm going for sweeping only, all, and high priority. So once I start sweeping out this area down here, I won't have any debris in there, which would be really, really annoying to have. And at some point this here should actually increase quite enough to get over this edge, and once this is over the edge, we will have to set up this area here with a certain setup of gases. And some water just spilled over, so we have now water in this spot, which is very important, and in this spot. And now let's have a look what kind of gas we have in there. Chlorine gas. We can work with that. What I essentially need is 2 different types of gases in here. And obviously the lighter one needs to be at the top, and I still have carbon dioxide which goes below, which also have a handy reservoir in a sense here. So for that I'm going with a gas pump. I'm just going to place it, not there, one lower, so it's already powered. This is a completely temporary setup. This is only there to get a single piece of carbon dioxide into the pipe. And then I will need to place the pipe here. Get a gas bridge here, so it's actually put in there, and then just going all the way over here. And then over to there. Now we should have some carbon dioxide in there. Perfect. Let's increase the priority of all of this, so it's being built. And then I can show you what this does. Oh, and we have now our first few data banks, thanks to Max finishing his analyzers. The data banks are required for the 4th tier of research, so you can get them, among other things, by analyzing geysers. And while we're here, let's enclose this too. Since we have polluted water there, this is perfect. And then the box can, once all of this here is dealt with, be cleaned out. Yeah, that's just what we want. And why is no one actually cleaning this stuff out? Let's increase the priority, just so all of this garbage is moved out of the way. Let's actually... not yet. We have a skill point. Let's have a look. Improved construction. He gets also that. And Ellie, our supporter... Totally forgot to give her a skill point. No? Hard digging. Well, don't really need that. Improved carrying, obviously, since she's our supplier for the most part. So this is all being done. We have our carbon dioxide in there, so let's connect that. This is all being built. And at some point it will get over there, and what happens then I will show you in just a moment. And here comes the carbon dioxide. Now with that in there, let's get rid of those pipes here, especially this one down there, the carbon dioxide, but also the rest, which is no longer needed. And then you will very quickly see one of the interesting game mechanics I alluded to in the beginning. Once this has been deleted at least. And you can already see level going down here and rising there. Because this is an Asher's waterfall. 2 different gases stacked on top of each other. Which is essentially a pump that can produce infinite pressure. The water falls over the ledge, can't easily displace the carbon dioxide upwards. So it looks for polluted water, in this case, around it, finds it, and simply adds to it, independent of the pressure. If it couldn't do this, it would simply delete the carbon dioxide. And that's how you can get infinite pressure in here, and this is also the reason I have the manual airlocks here, which can withstand that pressure. Then let's just make sure this is all cleaned out, and then let's just place a few more tiles here. So especially this one here is important. I don't want this off-gassing and then essentially opening up again. I want my two gases in here and not this whole thing here breaking. And what's about this here? This is a bit annoying. Okay. So any moment now. Now let's actually set this up. So first things first, I want my pump only to turn on when I have 1100 or more kilograms. So this here would stay completely filled in with polluted water, and I don't get those ugly pockets of off-gassed polluted oxygen. Next up, I need to set my valve, and for that I'm going to use the average output of the geyser here, which is 1754.2 grams per second. So I get a continuous and especially uninterrupted stream of cooling out of that. Now I'll have to wait until this here is filled up before I close everything up. And that's that. Now let's have a quick look at the research being done. So this is especially useful. Okay. And let's have a look at the printing. I'm not going for another dupe because I already saw the message that I'm a bit low on food again. So why not? Let's go with a shine bug. Killed one earlier. Now we have another one. Quite useful. This is not being built. Let's actually increase the priority. And I saw that I have a stone hatchling egg. So let's put that over. This one here should be put into the drowning chamber. And that should now be done. So with that out of the way, it's time to think about taming this one here. So the way I'm going to do about this is pretty simple. Because I have my cooling source down there already. So I'm going with a very simple setup. Essentially just a simple box around. With a water reservoir below, which serves as a heat reservoir or cooling reservoir. Then a little water reservoir up here to directly cool the steam. And then I need to get in there, so I need to remove those blocks. Then I need to get in there too. I need 2 more blocks here and 2 blocks here to temporarily cut off this so I can build the top and then the bottom and leave the water at the top suppressing the exhaust of the steam vent. So I still need to get in there. Let's remove those blocks. Let's get in there. Let's remove those blocks. Then I need to get up there. Let's place 2 there. This is already looking good. And then I am going to need a pump to get the water out of there. Since this will get quite hot occasionally, I need the plus 50 of the gold amalgam to the overheat temperature. I'm putting it to the left since the right is already pretty full with all of this. I need a pipe. And after that, since it's hot, I'm going with insulated pipe. The input of the cooling loop will subsequently be also on this side. For the cooling loop, I need these radiant pipes in those positions. The rest can be normal ones. And then I'm just making a big loop here, essentially, connecting everything up. So that's that. I am also going to need some temp shift plates out of granite. Up there. Here and here, here and here, so the steam gets cooled very fast. And then just to equalize the temperature in my heat reservoir, I'm putting them down there. And yeah, this is pretty toasty. I'm actually putting down some of ice. I printed out some a little while ago, just in here, to cool all of this down pretty fast. And the research is done. What am I looking for now? Yeah, let's go for that. What am I missing? Do I have power? No, not yet. And then the automation is also still missing. Since I want this to be kept filled, I need some automation to keep it filled. And that should do the trick. Since I will have to get some debris out, I am also going to need a dispenser. And now it's time for the priorities. So let's dig all of that out. Then I need the construction. And I need increased priority for these here. And these here. Yeah, that's looking good. So, how is it looking down here? Already somewhat overpressurizing because I have different gases in here. At some point, I might want to just open this one. Maybe I should open this one for now. And why is this not being deleted? Because I didn't. And is this being set? No, of course not, because the priority was not high enough. So now it should be set. Yeah, no, it's set. And once this here reaches the next layer, it should be done. Oh, and I'm running out of food again, so let's allow the macros for now. Okay, and now I'll have to wait a bit until I get a bit further with this setup here. And right here you can see why I have waited until I had my food supply more or less figured out. Took ages just building this little part here, but now we are more or less done. Last part is evacuating the entire thing. At the top, this is easily done since it's already mostly filled with water. I just put in some bottle emptier and filled it the rest. So I can just now put in a few more tiles here. Just making sure this is done at the appropriate order. Those aren't any more needed. I also put a pedestal here with some water on top, because if I remove that and empty it, I have a very, very simple liquid lock here, which I can then use to actually evacuate it and then later on still get in there and remove all of the unnecessary parts. So, to evacuate it, we obviously need a gas pump. I'm just putting it here, moving the gases to the outside here. No real surprise there, it will need some power, just from our normal power grid. And then this here also needs to be built. And once this is built and this is evacuated, I can remove those two tiles, then the ladders, and obviously the gas pump and stuff. And this here will be pretty much done. The last part then will be connecting this to the cooling source, and then I obviously need to do something with the output of that. That will be the next step. But first of all, I'll need to wait until this is built, and then until all of these gases here have been removed. And now that we have a vacuum, it's time to actually get rid of these two tiles here. Over here we can actually get rid of all of this stuff too. Oh, and we can print something out. Let's have a look. What can we print? Some more food would be nice. Maybe not allow them yet this to eat. Yeah. We can also go on. This has a bit of higher priority for me. Let's get rid of these. And once all of this here has been removed, it's time to clear out this area here in the middle, just so there is no stuff lying around anymore. And now we need to think about where I want to build my electrolyzer setup. I don't want to go here, there is too much polluted water for me right now, so I like to build it at the top. But while I'm building that, I might actually have my tubes already connecting this to the other vent. So let's go with an insulated type. Let's go here, then up. And how far do I need to go? Does this work? Yep, this works. Then up. And since this will go up, I need to go further up. Maybe something like that. And something like that. Yeah, that should do the trick. Obviously, I need some more ladders for that to work. Yeah, that's looking good. Now that everything has been cleared out, yeah, no debris in there. Let's make sure this is closed, then I can get rid of that. And now I can plan this. I am going to need a bit more space to the top though, so let's just add 2 more layers to this system here. And then some power. This is built, then I can delete this, then I can just go up here. That's perfect. Research is being done. I've been doing a lot on the side. You can see mostly it's stuff that has to do with rocketry. but it's getting a bit low on this of options, so let's go for the next tier of research. Then I'm going to need to dig out a bit of a space around here. I'm also going to need one of these while I'm here. Let's keep that there for now. And let's actually start with an infinite liquid storage. No, not there. Let's build it there. Yeah, that looks good. Should be insulated since the water is quite hot. The idea is similar to before. We have gas in here which won't overpressurize the liquid vents, so the liquid will accumulate inside of this area here. This might get hot, so we're going to need gold for that. Then let's insulate this. I still need to get in there, so let's keep open the sides for now. Those can be blocks. Then I'm going to need a water sieve, since I also want to use the polluted water. That will go directly, yeah, like so. And then the clean water will come out over there. This one here needs to go over a bridge. And this here, yeah, that's looking good. Now for the electrolyzer setup, I need a total of 4 gas pumps at the bottom. There. Here. Then on top of that, I need airflow tiles on the outside, and then a little U-shape hovering there. Then I'm going to need another gas pump, not that far up, that there. Some automation might be useful. Atmos sensor here, here, and here. Yep. Then, of course, I need to connect that. So then I can place my electrolyzers, also of gold, in here. Yeah, that's looking quite nice. Let's get rid of that one. And my people are hungry again, so let's add the macro. I don't need that. This will be the outside of this. I'm going to need a connection to the pump here, since the electrolyzers will turn a kilogram of water into 112 grams of hydrogen and the rest into oxygen. So they need some water here. It might be a good idea to be able to turn them off. So let's place some automation here. Yeah. And I'm going to need some insulated tiles at top there, some low rad here. That's looking good. On top of that, I'm going to need 2 hydrogen generators that power them, but let's make them due to heat out of gold again. Then I need 1 layer on top of that. This one will contain first a gas reservoir. Then it will contain 2 smart batteries, and then the last hydrogen generator. Yeah. And then I need to... This was one too much. Then I need to enclose this essentially, and this as well. Then let's... For now it will obviously be kept open, but at some point I will have to close this. Put this at the top right now. This is working quite nicely. Now for the power production or power distribution, all of this here can run essentially on 1 wire. Wouldn't be an issue at all. And then one up there. Yeah. And this one here will actually power the outside. Wait, let's actually change the order here a bit. So I'm going to need the gas reservoir and the smart battery. Battery goes here. Yeah, that makes more sense with the automation. Automation wire goes down here. Then I have one here, and in there we have a NOT gate. So I can turn this on when either the power is low or the gas reservoir is pretty much full. So I won't have this system here backlocking. I need pipes. And I'm going with radiant pipes to ensure I'm using the hydrogen here to cool as much as I can. Yeah, this way, over here, and then over there. And this one here will get it out of there, and then all the way over there. Yeah, gas bridge there. And the first few might be a good idea to actually get into a reservoir here to the side. Because this one here will at first not pump only hydrogen but also other stuff, and that would damage my generators. So let's cut it off at this point and at this point for now, just so there is nothing bad happening. So I am still missing a few things, I suspect. So let's have a look. Yeah, of course, I am missing the pipes here at the bottom and at this part. So this is simple, just up there. Those need to be connected, then down. This might be a bit hot, so I'm going to use insulated pipes. Although, well, if I'm venting it, it doesn't really matter much. Since I don't want this to stop at any... What was that? Since I don't want this to stop at any time... oh, and I need to get in there. Let's go. So, I'm going to also build an infinite storage for gases right here. So let's say I need 6 wide and 6 wide there. This can be enclosed. Then I'm just putting gas pumps in here. They don't need to do anything for now. I might actually want to add a pipe to that though. Just for now. So I can later on evacuate this if I want. I am also going to need to put this in here, for example, like so. Then the gas vents here. Then I need a furniture pedestal. Add this here, so I can get a tiny bit of water in here. Works similar to this idea. A tiny bit of water won't overpressurize the gas vent, but it will keep the actual gas away from the vents, so I can have an infinite pressure in there. Again, one of the interesting game mechanics I was talking about. Some might consider them exploits, but they have been in the game for a very long time and have not been removed, so that's not really an issue. We are already getting a bit of a surplus of stone hatchlings, so we might consider switching over at some point. Research is done, so let's have a look. Material study. Board. Yeah, this is looking good. What are we researching now? Let's have a look. Let's go for that next. Just so I can get a bit more of this stuff done. And now we have another skill point. Oh, we have a lot of skill points, so let's go through that. Ashkan gets more carry. Ellie, as supplier, gets also more carry. Harold gets some tinkering. Hassan 2. Max will have to do some piloting at some point. Ruby gets his interests done. And I forgot to set that up. So that should also all be... And who's trapped? Of course, my builders are trapped again. And now they are no longer trapped. Which is very important. So... what? For now I'm just going to put them to open, so my dupes are a bit faster when they want to go through them. But for now it's essentially just waiting until all of this here has been built, and I come back to you once I have something new for you. And we just got a surprise achievement, so let's have a quick look what this is about. Ah, okay, it's the locavore. So we have finally eaten enough food so we can start actual farming. Although we won't do this in this episode, this is likely something for the next. And we're almost done with this setup here. I'm already starting to close this part here up. And once that's done, I am pretty much ready to let this run. I'm also evacuating currently the space at the top here. And later on, through this gas vent I placed, I want to put hydrogen in here, because hydrogen is the best gas when you want to cool through the atmosphere, and that's what I want here actually. So that's not needed. We also have some more skill points in the intermediate time. Ellie is also getting some tinkering. Gossman finally gets demolition. Ruby gets the same. I should invest very soon in some carrying actually. Ruby, why not? Max, why not? And also why not? Okay, this is all looking quite nice. And I'm just waiting until all of this here has been evacuated, which should be pretty soon actually. And then I can just replace this gas pump here with the actual generator. As you can see, there is still enough space for that. And let's actually set that up. And once all of that is built and the interconnections are done, which will also take a while, it's time to set this up. And we are out of power, but that's not an issue because the vacuum is already finished. So we also don't need the power supply for that, just a temporary solution here. And now let's just increase the priority for this, or I won't get anything done. So how is it looking? We are getting now slowly a surplus of stone hedges, but we're currently running a bit low on power, which will have to be dealt with soon. Clean that up, we need another generator, highest priority of all. And once that is built, I'm just enclosing this. For the moment this is not an issue since there is no heat generation going on in this inside. Let's make a sound. Just so this is ensured to be built first. And once that's done, while this is being done, we can start setting this up. So this one here I want to activate once it's above, let's say 220, 250, and these, let's say 350 or so, something like that. So that's already being done. We should also, well, this is locked, so we can enclose this, and then we can get rid of that, and that, and that, and also that. So this is pretty much done. This is also pretty much done. Where are the people to put something in there? Obviously not here yet. And this is all being built. But I think this is a pretty good point to stop. This is pretty much all built now. It's just the final touches before we get everything running. But I think I will do this in the next episode. And there we go. So as you can see, once you start with the mid-game, the builds become quite a bit more interconnected and more complex. Nevertheless, we are still starting out and haven't really started with using the new builds, but that will have to wait for the next episode. Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I wish you all a nice day, and well, see ya!